Amanda stood in her small living room, staring at two men on their knees. Both held open ring boxes. Both were asking her to marry them. Both looked confused and angry. This was not how she wanted to spend her 27th birthday. Let me tell you how Amanda got here. It's a story about choices, lies, and what happens when someone tries to live two lives at once. Amanda was born in a small town in Ondo State, but she moved to Lagos when she was 23. She came to find work like many young people do. Lagos is a big city with many opportunities, but it's also expensive and hard. Amanda found a job as a customer service officer in a bank. The pay was not much, but it was enough to rent a small self-contained apartment in Ikeja and send some money home to her mother every month. Amanda was beautiful. She had dark skin that glowed like polished wood, big brown eyes, and a smile that made people feel comfortable. But more than her looks, Amanda was smart and ambitious. She wanted more than what she had. She wanted to travel, to wear nice clothes, to eat at fancy restaurants, to live the kind of life she saw on Instagram. Her salary could not give her all of that. That's where the trouble started. Amanda met Stanley first. It was at a friend's birthday party in Lekki. Stanley was 29 years old, tall and handsome, with a neat beard and an easy laugh. He worked as a graphics designer for a small advertising company in Lagos. He was not rich, but he was doing okay. He had his own car, a small Toyota, and he lived in a 2-bedroom flat in Surulere with his younger brother. Stanley approached Amanda at the party with confidence but not arrogance. "That dress looks good on you," he said, not in a creepy way, but genuine, like he just wanted to say something nice. Amanda smiled. "Thank you." They talked for hours that night. Stanley made her laugh. He told her stories about his childhood in Ibadan, about his dreams of starting his own design company one day, about his love for jollof rice and old Nollywood movies. Amanda found herself relaxed around him. He did not try too hard. He was just himself. They exchanged numbers, and Stanley started calling her every day. He would send her good morning messages, funny memes, and sometimes he would just call to ask how her day was going. After 2 weeks, he asked her out on a proper date. They went to a small restaurant in Victoria Island. Nothing too expensive, but the food was good and the conversation was better. By the 3rd date, they were officially together. Stanley was a good boyfriend. He was attentive without being controlling. He would pick Amanda up after work sometimes, take her to the movies, or just come to her house to watch TV and eat takeout. He was not rich enough to take her to the most expensive places, but he tried his best. He would save money to take her somewhere nice at least once a month. Amanda liked Stanley. She really did. But there was always that small voice in her head that said, "Is this enough? Is this the life you want?" Amanda met Chidi 6 months after she started dating Stanley. It was at a banking conference in Lagos. Chidi was a big deal. He was 34 years old, and he worked as a senior manager in an oil and gas company in Abuja. He wore expensive suits, designer watches, and he smelled like money. When he spoke, people listened. The conference was boring, full of presentations about digital banking and customer retention. Amanda was checking her phone when Chidi sat next to her during the lunch break. "These conferences are always the same, aren't they?" he said with a smile. Amanda looked up and saw a handsome man with light skin, low-cut hair, and very white teeth. "Yes," she agreed. "Very boring." "I'm Chidi," he said, extending his hand. "Amanda." They talked through lunch. Chidi was smooth. He knew how to make a woman feel special. He complimented her intelligence, not just her looks. He asked about her career goals, her dreams, her ambitions. He made her feel like she was the only person in the room. Before the conference ended, Chidi asked for her number. "I'd love to stay in touch," he said. "You seem like someone with a bright future." Amanda gave him her number, not thinking much of it. She had a boyfriend. She was happy with Stanley. But then Chidi started calling. First, it was innocent. He would call to ask about work, to share business advice, to recommend books about personal development. But slowly, the calls became more personal. He would ask about her life, her family, her dreams. He would tell her about his own life, about growing up in Enugu, about his successes and failures. Then the gifts started coming. First it was a book he thought she would like. Then it was a perfume. Then it was a dress from an expensive boutique. "I saw this and thought of you," the note would say. Amanda knew what was happening. Chitty was pursuing her. And the problem was she was starting to like it. One evening, Chitty called and asked Amanda to come to Abuja for the weekend. "I know a great restaurant here," he said. "And I'd love to show you around the city. Plus, you need a break from Lagos stress." Amanda's first thought was to say no. She had a boyfriend. But then Chitty mentioned that he would pay for everything. The flight, the hotel, the meals, everything. "Just come and relax," he said. "No pressure." Amanda told herself she would go just as friends. Just a free trip. Nothing serious. But deep down she knew it was more than that. She told Stanley she had to travel to Abuja for a work training. Stanley believed her without question. "That's great, baby," he said. "It will be good for your career." That first trip to Abuja changed everything. Chitty picked Amanda up from the airport in his Range Rover. He took her to a 5-star hotel in Maitama, where he had booked her a room. Not a shared room, her own room. "I want you to be comfortable," he said. They had dinner at an expensive restaurant where the menu had no prices. Chitty ordered wine that cost more than Amanda's monthly salary. After dinner, they walked around the city, and Chitty talked about his dreams of expanding his business, of investing in real estate, of building an empire. "I want someone to build with," he said, looking at Amanda. "Someone smart and ambitious. Someone like you." That night nothing physical happened. Chitty was a gentleman. But Amanda went back to her hotel room knowing that she was in trouble. She liked Chitty. She liked the way he made her feel important, the way he showed her a lifestyle she only dreamed about, the way he talked about the future like it was something they would build together. When Amanda returned to Lagos, Stanley was waiting at her apartment with food. "How was the training?" he asked. "It was good," Amanda lied, avoiding his eyes. That's how it started. The double life. The lies. Over the next year, Amanda became an expert at lying. She would tell Stanley she had work trips, family emergencies, or friends' events that required her to travel. Meanwhile, she would be in Abuja with Chitty, living a completely different life. With Stanley, Amanda was the simple, down-to-earth girlfriend. They would go to local restaurants, watch movies at home, and talk about saving money to start a small business one day. Stanley was planning their future together. He talked about marriage, about having 2 or 3 children, about building a modest but happy life. With Chitty, Amanda was the sophisticated woman who belonged in high society. They would go to exclusive clubs, eat at the best restaurants, and attend parties where everyone seemed to be rich and important. Chitty talked about marriage too, but his version involved a big wedding, a house in Lekki Phase 1, and regular international vacations. Amanda knew what she was doing was wrong. There were nights she couldn't sleep, thinking about Stanley's trusting face, about how he was planning a future with someone who was lying to him every day. But then Chitty would send her money for her hair or buy her a new phone, and Amanda would convince herself that she deserved this, that she had worked hard, that she had struggled, that it was okay to want more. The truth is, Amanda loved them both in different ways. She loved Stanley's kindness, his genuine care, and his simple dreams. She loved Chitty's ambition, his confidence, and his ability to make her feel like she could conquer the world. She could not choose between the secure love Stanley offered and the exciting life Chitty promised. So she didn't choose. She kept both. Amanda's friends noticed the changes. Her best friend, Blessing, who knew about both men, kept warning her. "Amanda, this will end badly," Blessing would say. "You cannot keep doing this. Someone will get hurt." "I know," Amanda would reply. "I just need time to figure things out." But time kept passing, and Amanda kept lying. She became so good at it that she almost forgot she was doing it. She had 2 phones, one for Stanley and one for Chitty. She had different social media accounts. She had different versions of herself for different people. The stress was enormous. Amanda started losing weight. She had trouble sleeping. Sometimes she would mix up her lies and have to quickly correct herself. Once, she almost called Stanley Chitty during a phone conversation. Another time, she wore a necklace Chitty gave her when she was with Stanley, and she had to lie that she bought it herself. But both men were falling deeper in love with her. Stanley started saving money for an engagement ring. He told his family about Amanda. His mother wanted to meet her. Chitty too was getting serious. He introduced Amanda to his business partners as his girlfriend. He started talking about her meeting his family in Enugu. Amanda felt like she was standing on a cliff, knowing that one wrong step would make everything collapse. But she kept walking, kept lying, and kept living two lives. Then came her birthday. Amanda turned 27 on a Saturday in September. Stanley had been planning something special for weeks. He saved money to take Amanda to a nice restaurant in Lekki. He bought her a gift, a gold necklace with a small pendant that had her initials. He was nervous and excited because he had bigger plans too. He had finally saved enough money to buy an engagement ring. Not the most expensive ring, but a decent one that showed he was serious. He was going to propose to Amanda on her birthday. Chitty was also planning something. He had been thinking about marriage for months. At 34, he was ready to settle down, and Amanda was the woman he wanted. She was beautiful, smart, and she fit into his lifestyle perfectly. He bought an expensive ring from a jewelry store in Abuja, a diamond ring that cost more than some people's annual salary. He decided to fly to Lagos on Amanda's birthday to surprise her with a proposal. Amanda knew about neither plan. She had told Stanley they would celebrate her birthday together on Saturday evening. She had told Chitty she would be free on Sunday, and he had said he would visit Lagos that weekend but didn't tell her exactly when. Amanda's plan was simple: celebrate with Stanley on Saturday evening, then see Chitty on Sunday. But life had other plans. Saturday morning, Amanda woke up to messages from both men wishing her a happy birthday. Stanley's message was sweet and long, talking about how blessed he was to have her. Chitty's message was shorter but included a promise: get ready for the best birthday surprise of your life. Amanda spent the morning at the salon, getting her hair and nails done. She wore a beautiful red dress that Chitty had bought her. She felt good, excited about the celebrations ahead. At 6 o'clock, Stanley picked her up. He had borrowed his friend's newer car to make the evening special. "You look amazing," he said when he saw her. They drove to the restaurant in Lekki. It was a nice place with soft music and candlelight. Stanley had reserved a table by the window. They ordered food, and Stanley kept smiling at Amanda in a way that made her slightly nervous. "What?" she asked, laughing. "Nothing," Stanley said. "I'm just happy. This past year with you has been the best year of my life." Amanda felt a twist in her stomach. Guilt was a feeling she had learned to push down, but sometimes it would surface at moments like this. They ate and talked about memories from the past year. Stanley reminded her of funny moments they had shared, places they had gone, inside jokes they had developed. Amanda found herself genuinely laughing, genuinely enjoying the moment, almost forgetting about the double life she was living. Then, as dessert arrived, Stanley stood up. Amanda's heart started beating fast. She knew what was coming. No, she thought. Not now. Not yet. I'm not ready. But before Stanley could say anything, there was a commotion at the restaurant entrance. Amanda looked up and her blood turned cold. Chitty was walking into the restaurant, holding a bouquet of roses and a gift bag. He was looking around, clearly searching for Amanda. Time seemed to slow down. Amanda's mind was racing. What is he doing here? He said Sunday. This is Saturday. Why is he here? Stanley noticed Amanda's expression and turned to see what she was looking at. He saw a well-dressed man walking toward their table with flowers. Chitty spotted Amanda and his face lit up with a big smile. "Surprise!" he said loudly, approaching their table. Then he noticed Stanley standing there, looking confused. The restaurant suddenly felt very small. "Amanda," Chitty said, his smile fading. "What's going on?" Stanley looked at Amanda, then at Chitty, then back at Amanda. "Who is this?" he asked. Amanda's mouth opened but no words came out. Her worst nightmare was happening in real time, in a public restaurant on her birthday. "I'm Chitty," the man said, extending his hand to Stanley automatically, then withdrawing it when he realized something was very wrong. "Who are you?" "I'm Stanley," he replied. "Amanda's boyfriend." The words hung in the air like smoke. Chitty's face changed completely. The confident, smiling man disappeared, replaced by someone who looked like he had been punched in the stomach. "Boyfriend," Chitty repeated. He turned to Amanda. "What is he talking about?" "Amanda, what's going on?" People at nearby tables were starting to stare. The restaurant staff sensed drama and kept their distance. Amanda finally found her voice, though it was shaky. Can we talk outside?" "No," Stanley said firmly. He was usually so gentle, so understanding, but now his voice had an edge Amanda had never heard before. "We're going to talk right here." "Who is this man, Amanda?" Chitty set down the flowers and gift bag on an empty chair. "I think I should be asking that question," he said. "Amanda and I have been together for over a year. We're in a serious relationship. I came here to—" He stopped himself. Stanley laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of someone who couldn't believe what they were hearing. "Over a year. We've been together for a year and a half. Amanda, what is happening?" All the lies, all the different phones, all the fake work trips. Everything was collapsing at once. Amanda felt like she couldn't breathe. She wanted to run, to disappear, to wake up and find this was just a bad dream. "I can explain," Amanda whispered, knowing that no explanation would be good enough. "Explain then," Chitty said. His voice was cold now. "Explain how you've been my girlfriend, traveling to Abuja almost every month, meeting my friends, making plans for our future, while you have a boyfriend here in Lagos." Stanley sat down heavily in his chair like his legs couldn't support him anymore. "Abuja," he said quietly. "All those work trips. They were to see him." Amanda started crying. Real tears, not fake ones. She was genuinely terrified and ashamed. "I'm sorry," she said. "I'm so sorry." "Sorry," Stanley said, his voice breaking. "Amanda, I was about to propose to you. Tonight. Right now. I saved for months to buy you a ring. I told my family about you. My mother is planning to meet you next month." Chitty's eyes widened. "You were going to propose. That's funny because—" He reached into his pocket and pulled out a ring box. "I came here to do the same thing." The restaurant was completely quiet now. Even the soft music seemed to have stopped. Everyone was watching. 2 ring boxes. 2 proposals. 2 men. 1 liar. What happened next was not pretty. Stanley wanted answers. Chitty wanted answers. Amanda tried to speak, but every word that came out made things worse. She tried to explain that she cared about both of them, that she never meant to hurt anyone, that she just got caught up in something she couldn't control. But everything she said sounded hollow and selfish. "You care about both of us," Stanley said. "Amanda, you don't care about me. If you cared, you wouldn't have been lying to me for over a year. Every time you said you were going for work training, you were with him. Every time I asked you about your day, you lied. Every time I talked about our future, you were planning a different future with someone else." Chitty was pacing now, one hand on his head. "I gave you everything," he said. "Money, gifts, trips, my time, my trust. And all of it was based on lies. Were you ever going to tell me? Or were you just going to keep using both of us until you figured out which one could give you more?" That last sentence hit hard because it was partially true. Amanda had been comparing them, weighing her options, trying to figure out which life she wanted more. But hearing it said out loud made her realize how terrible it sounded. "It wasn't like that," Amanda tried to say, but Chitty interrupted her. "Then what was it like? Tell me. Help me understand how you wake up next to one man and fly to another man the same week. Help me understand how you say, 'I love you,' to 2 different people and mean it both times." Amanda had no answer. The truth was, she had been selfish. She had wanted the security Stanley offered and the luxury Chitty provided. She had wanted to have everything without having to choose, without considering that these were real people with real feelings. Stanley stood up. He took the ring box from his pocket and placed it gently on the table. "I was going to ask you to marry me," he said quietly. "I was going to promise to love you forever, to take care of you, to build a life with you. But I realize now that I don't know who you are. The woman I loved doesn't exist. She was just a character you played." He walked toward the exit, then stopped and turned back. "I hope it was worth it," he said. Then he left. Chitty watched Stanley leave, then looked at Amanda with disappointment in his eyes. "You know what the sad part is? I would have given you everything. Everything. But you couldn't just be honest. You couldn't just choose." He picked up his ring box, left the roses and gift bag on the chair, and walked out too. Amanda sat alone at the table, crying while strangers stared at her. The waiter brought the bill, and Amanda realized she had no money. All her expensive things, her nice clothes, her lifestyle, they were all paid for by Chitty. She called Blessing, who came to help her pay and take her home. The days after her birthday were the hardest days of Amanda's life. Both men blocked her on everything: phone, social media, email. Stanley's friends who followed her on Instagram unfollowed her. Chitty's gifts sat in her apartment like reminders of her mistakes. Word spread. Lagos is a big city, but the social circles are small. People started talking. Some people called Amanda names. Some people said she was smart to try to secure her future. Some people said both men should have been more careful. Everyone had an opinion. But the person whose opinion mattered most was Amanda herself. And for the first time in a long time, she had to sit with the truth of who she had become. She thought about Stanley, who probably cried himself to sleep after spending months saving for a ring. She thought about Chitty, who had opened his heart to someone he thought was genuine. She thought about all the lies she had told so easily, so smoothly, like it was nothing. Amanda realized something important. She had been so focused on what she could get from other people that she forgot to think about what she was becoming. She had wanted the lifestyle, the money, the security, the attention. She had wanted to feel special, to feel like she had made it. But in trying to have everything, she ended up with nothing. 3 months passed. Amanda quit her job at the bank and moved back home to Ondo State. She couldn't stand Lagos anymore. Everywhere she went, she felt like people were talking about her. Her apartment, which had once felt like a symbol of her independence, now felt like a prison full of memories and regrets. Back home, living with her mother, Amanda had time to think. Her mother, a wise woman who had raised 3 children alone after her husband died, could tell something had happened, but she didn't push. She just let Amanda be. One evening, while they were sitting outside watching the sunset, Amanda's mother said, "You know, when I was young, I made many mistakes. Big ones. I hurt people I loved. I lied. I was selfish. But the mistakes themselves were not what defined me. What defined me was what I did after." Amanda looked at her mother, tears forming in her eyes. "The hardest thing," her mother continued, "is to look at yourself honestly, to admit what you did wrong. Not to make excuses, not to blame others, but to really see yourself clearly. That's when change can happen." Amanda started crying. "I hurt people, Mama. Good people who loved me. And I did it for what? For money. For a lifestyle. I don't even know who I am anymore." Her mother held her hand. "Then this is your chance to find out. To become someone you can be proud of. But you have to do the work. You have to be honest, starting with yourself." Amanda spent the next year working on herself. She got a job at a local school teaching computer skills to children. It didn't pay much, but it was honest work. She stopped posting on social media, stopped chasing the lifestyle she once wanted, stopped measuring her worth by external things. She wrote letters to both Stanley and Chitty. Not letters asking for forgiveness or trying to get them back, but letters acknowledging what she did, apologizing sincerely and wishing them well. She didn't know if they read the letters. She didn't expect responses. The letters were more for her own healing than anything else. Amanda also went to therapy. A counselor in the nearby town helped her understand why she had made the choices she made. They talked about self-worth, about societal pressure, about the difference between wanting to be secure and wanting to be validated. Amanda learned that her actions came from a place of deep insecurity, from feeling like she was not enough as she was. Slowly, Amanda started to become a different person. Not overnight, but gradually. She learned to be content with less. She learned to be honest, even when honesty was uncomfortable. She learned that real relationships are built on truth, not on what you can get from someone. 2 years after that terrible birthday, Amanda heard through a mutual friend that Stanley had gotten engaged to someone else. The news hurt, but it was a different kind of pain. It was the pain of accepting consequences, of knowing that some things cannot be undone. Amanda genuinely wished him happiness. He deserved it. She never heard anything about Chitty, but she hoped he was doing well too. Amanda stayed in Ondo State. She was 29 now, still single, still working at the school. She had a small group of friends, a simple life, and for the first time in years, she could look at herself in the mirror without shame. One day, one of her students, a bright girl named Funmi, asked her, "Teacher Amanda, why are you not married? You're so pretty." Amanda smiled. "Marriage will come when it comes, Funmi. Right now I'm learning to be a good person. That's more important." "But don't you want to be rich?" Funmi asked innocently. Amanda thought about that question for a moment. "I want to be happy," she said finally. "I want to be someone I'm proud of. I want to be honest and kind. Those things are more valuable than money." Funmi didn't fully understand, but she nodded anyway. The truth is, Amanda's story doesn't have a neat, happy ending. She didn't get the man or the lifestyle or the fairy tale. What she got was something harder to achieve. Self-awareness. She got the knowledge of who she had been and who she wanted to become. Some people who heard her story said she got what she deserved. Some people said both men were better off without her. And they were probably right. But Amanda was also better off without the lies, without the stress of maintaining 2 lives, without the weight of deception. She learned a lesson that many people learn too late. You cannot build anything real on a foundation of lies. Not relationships, not happiness, not a life. Eventually, the truth comes out, and when it does, everything falls apart. If Amanda could go back, she would do things differently. She would have been honest with Stanley about her feelings, about her desires for more. She would have ended things with him before pursuing Chitty, or she would have chosen to be content with what Stanley offered. She would have understood that trying to have everything often means ending up with nothing. But Amanda couldn't go back. None of us can. We can only move forward, carrying our lessons with us, trying to be better than we were yesterday. Years later, when Amanda was 32, she met someone new. His name was Tund, and he was a teacher at a neighboring school. He was not rich. He didn't drive a fancy car or wear designer clothes. But he was kind and honest, and when Amanda looked at him, she saw someone she could build something real with. On their 3rd date, Tund asked Amanda about her past relationships. This was the moment. The moment where she could lie, could create a new story, could pretend to be someone she wasn't. But Amanda took a deep breath and told him the truth. All of it. About Stanley, about Chitty, about the lies, about the worst birthday of her life, about the lessons she learned. Tund listened without interrupting. When Amanda finished, she expected him to stand up and leave like the others had. But he didn't. "Thank you for telling me," he said. "That must have been hard to share." "I'm not proud of who I was," Amanda said. "But I'm trying to be better." Tund nodded. "We all have things we're not proud of. What matters is whether we learn from them, whether we grow. It sounds like you've done a lot of growing." That night, Amanda went home feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not hope for a fairy tale or a perfect life, but hope that maybe, just maybe, she could build something real, something honest, something that would last. And maybe that's the real lesson of this story. Not that lying is wrong, we all know that. But that the path to becoming better is paved with honesty. First with ourselves and then with others. That real love, real happiness, real peace comes not from having more, but from being true. Amanda's story is a reminder that our choices have consequences, that we cannot escape the truth forever, and that sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same thing. She lost a lot that day in the restaurant. 2 relationships, her reputation, her life in Lagos. But in losing all of that, she found something more valuable: herself. The real Amanda, not the one who pretended, but the one who learned to be honest, to be content, to be enough as she was. And in the end, maybe that's the best birthday gift she could have given herself. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting stories.